Hey guys, what's going on? So this is our second quick start video in the series. If you haven't watched our first video, then get right into our YPT community and Facebook. Make sure you watch that video. It is super important that you're getting off to the right start while you're here. If you're expecting to get results and create the change that you want, which should be why you're here, you got to be sure you're watching these videos and doing what you need to do in order to create those changes. So these videos are just designed to get you off to the right start and really put you in a place where where you need to be to create these changes that you want. So video number 2, we're going to go over 5 key areas today. These are like the cornerstone, like the foundation of creating changes that you're looking to create. I know that, we hear a lot about 2 things, diet and exercise. We just tend to think that the only things we need to do are eat right and exercise, and then we get all the changes we want. And, that's partly true. I mean, I'm not going to say diet and exercise are not important, because they absolutely are. But here's the thing about diet and exercise. If you're not using and really taking advantage of the 5 key areas I'm going to talk about, then you're going to be very limited with how much results you will get from your diet and exercise, even if you're doing them right. So just kind of key in on that. So 5 key areas we're going to talk about. This is what we call at Yates Performance Training our F5 FIT formula. If you've seen that on the website, I'm going to talk a little bit about it, because these are the 5 areas that are just hugely critical. So area number 1, we're looking at accountability, right? Being accountable for doing what you need to do to get the results that you say that you want to get. Now, it's not as easy as just saying, oh, I'm going to work out 5 days a week, or I'm just going to eat better. It's actually really looking and analyzing things, identifying the areas where you're falling short on your accountability. Are you falling short somewhere in your exercise routine? Are you falling short in your nutrition? Are you falling short in your sleep? Are you falling short when it comes to managing stress in your life? Where are the areas that you are falling short in holding yourself accountable? Do you make excuses to justify why you don't need to do this or that, right? What is it? Where is it that you're not being completely accountable? Identify those areas. And this isn't about feeling bad about yourself or, creating guilt or shame or any kind of frustration with that. It's just becoming aware, because once you become aware, then you can start creating changes. But if we don't have awareness on the areas that are like missing, then you're not going to be able to create the changes. You're going to keep doing the things you do, but you're going to keep missing the things that you're missing. And the areas that you're missing are probably the most important areas that you need to get the results you want. All right? So let's look at the second area where we're talking about now mindset. Now, mindset's a huge thing, and it's not just like, oh, let's think positive thoughts, or, you can do it, suck it up, and tough it out, and all this kind of stuff that we tell ourselves. Mindset really is simply just really being honest with yourself and asking yourself, am I really in a place within myself where I am ready, willing, and able to make the changes I say I want? It's one thing to want those changes and have those goals, but are you really in a place where you can honestly make those changes? Are you ready? Are you willing? And are you able to commit to the changes that you say you need to make? So identify what those changes are and really ask yourself, be honest with yourself in your assessment. Third area we're going to look at is habits. Habits are huge, because a lot of the habits that we have, we're not even really aware of. We do these things over and over and have these certain patterns of behavior and things that we do, and a lot of times we're not even aware of what they are. And, we have habits that are great and take us closer to our goals, but we also have habits that take us further away from our goals. So those are the ones we want to become aware of. Starting to identify, what are the habits that you have that are taking you further away from your goals? So identify those. Again, creating awareness is the key here. All right? And then, so if you notice, now we've talked about 3 areas and we haven't gotten into diet and exercise yet. Because again, if those 3 areas are not happening, if you're not paying attention to them, if you're not identifying where things are missing, then when we get to the last 2 areas that have to do with diet and exercise, you're playing the game at a serious handicap, and your results will show that. All right? So now let's get into talking about diet, right? Nutrition. Now, here's the thing with nutrition. One thing is to be aware of where you're falling short. What are the things nutritionally that you're not doing that are actually holding you back from getting the results that you want to get? But also be aware of being open, I want to say, to changing your approach with nutrition. You know, we have the Accelerate Nutrition program that we do, and it's there for a reason. And I'll tell you, because a lot of nutritional approaches that are out there don't work. And I'm not saying that ours is the one and only one that does. It's just one of, okay? But the other thing is that a lot of nutritional approaches are just one-dimensional. They're focused on one thing. Low-carb diets, one thing. Low-fat diet, one thing, right? High protein, one thing, right? So instead of having one approach, we've got to be really open, because what happens is, if you've ever tried a diet or a nutrition approach that actually worked and then it stopped, right? They all work until they stop. So the cool thing about Accelerate is that it's adaptable. It constantly changes. That's why we have 6 different levels beyond just the base manual that you've got. But we want to start with the base manual. Get the principles in place first before we start working the deeper, more advanced stuff, okay? But, you know, what works for getting the first 10 or 20 pounds off doesn't always work for getting the second 10 or 20 off. And what works for that isn't going to work for the third, right? Our bodies start changing. Our nutritional needs start changing. And it's very, very important that you understand that and be open to making changes. So just be aware nutritionally, identify where you're falling short, and start thinking about, what changes do I need to make? Have you been stuck in one approach for a long period of time and now it's not working, right? And chances are it's not, because if it was, you wouldn't be here. Honestly, you really wouldn't. So, you know, be honest in that and be open to addressing that. And then finally, we start looking at exercise. And this is the last variable now, because again, if exercise was the most important thing, well, we could just do that and ignore all the other stuff, and we'd have the bodies we want, we'd have the health we want, the energy we want, and, you know, but it doesn't work that way, despite all the workouts that are out there, all the exercising that we've done. So with exercise, the one thing that I just want you to also be conscious of, be aware of, is performance, right? Because performance is the one variable, the most important variable you need to create changes through exercise. When I'm talking creating changes through exercise, it's all about performance. That just means that if you come in for a workout and you just do the same stuff that you're always able to do, you're never challenging yourself. You know, maybe you lift a little more weight on an exercise, maybe you do a little more work on another one, maybe, you know, you're just fixing your technique on some things. Just, you know, I'm always talking about that one thing better, right? Improve one thing. That's a constant thing, because as your body is able to perform better, then you're creating the need that your body has to change, right? You got to create a need. You got to give your body a reason to change. Otherwise, it's not. Our bodies are very sophisticated machines, and they get very comfortable fast. And once they get comfortable, everything stops. All right, so that's your 5 key areas to hone in on. F5 FIT formula right there, 5 of them. So again, develop some awareness. Don't go crazy on this. Don't let it stress you out. But the more awareness you have, and especially in these 5 areas, the better chance you are going to have at creating the foundation you need. And once you got that foundation set, then you're going to see some serious changes start to happen, and I mean it. All right, you guys, so do that work, and I'll be back tomorrow with part 3. Till then, if you have questions, post them up, and I'll see you later. Take care.